Hello and congratulations, you have reached the final episode in the series. Now, it might not seem like it, but if you understand everything we've learned so far, you now have everything you need to script anything on Roblox. Seriously. Scripting is all about problem solving, and so once you understand the fundamentals, everything else comes down to figuring out which tools to use to solve a problem. For example, let's use the tools we know to create a dance floor. Keep in mind, there's no single solution to a problem like this. Different people can script it in different ways. We need to break down the problem into small segments that we can solve individually, because just thinking how to script a dance floor can be quite overwhelming. So, our dance floor is a folder containing a 5x5 grid of parts. Each second, we want to generate a new random color for every part in the folder. So, to do this, we first need to create an infinite loop so the dance floor can run forever. We then want to wait 1 second on each loop. After waiting, we need to iterate through each part in the dance floor's folder. We can do this with a for loop and getChildren, which returns a table containing the children of the folder. Now let's figure out how to change each part's color, which is something we haven't learned yet. This is now something that we can find help for as we've broken down the task into much more manageable chunks. So let's search our problem to see if we can find a solution. The first result is a thread on the developer forum where someone is asking for help with assigning a parts color, just like us. In the responses, developers give detailed explanations as to how to solve the problem as well as any relevant resources. So we can gather that the part has a color property and we assign it to a color 3 data type. Because we don't know about the color 3 data type, we can learn more about that ourselves on the engine API if we choose to. But what's important is that we now have the solution to this segment of our problem. Say there wasn't any resources on the developer forum, we could also try looking at the parts class on the engine API, where we would also find that there's a color property. If you still can't find anything after searching, you can ask the question yourself in the scripting support section on the developer forum, where you might find someone that can give you access to the resources you need. If you need help breaking down a problem into smaller chunks so you can find the solution yourself, you can ask for help with that as well. You can also use help channels in development Discord servers such as Scripters.cf, which has around 8,000 members. And don't worry, this isn't cheating. Every single developer has to go through this process no matter how experienced they are. No developer knows everything that's in the engine API as there's way too much to remember. A huge part of development is simply knowing where to find help with something if you need it. You might find this overwhelming at first, but this is something that will get much easier over time if you keep practicing. Now, back to the script. We can now change our parts color like this, but we now need to provide random values rather than setting all parts to a single color. So let's search how to find a random number. Here's another developer forum thread where this developer demonstrates how to use the random function, which is in the math library. If we want more information, we can check out the engine API. There, it confirms that the function takes 2 arguments and returns a random number between them. So we can generate 3 random numbers from 0 to 255 and then pass them as arguments when creating our color 3 value. And with that, our dance floor is now working perfectly. Now, I'm thinking of making tutorials on more complex topics from the engine API, and videos walking you through the thought process of developing different games. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to subscribe with notifications if you want to see them when they're released. If there's something specific you want to see, let me know either in the comments or on Twitter @jotslo. Check out the plugin if you want some tasks that will test your problem solving skills. And thank you very much for watching this series, I hope you learned a thing or two.